Welcome to Go Bank Yourself, where we break down how to grow and control capital like a banker. I'm your host, Dovi Herman, joined by my co-host, Pinny Levy. Let's begin. Go Bank Yourself. This is episode 6. I know Pinny had a good idea of something to talk about today. More on the psychological and philosophical side of money, and ultimately that's what money is when it comes down to it. It's a very emotional and psychological subject.
Indeed, that's what they say. Well, don't buy on emotion, don't sell on emotion. There's a lot of emotion behind the charge of, well, is infinite banking a scam? Speaking to a client, she took the time, God bless her, to email me on a Sunday. I heard from a friend that infinite banking is a scam. We've gone over lots of examples so far, and my answer was, and we'll show in numbers in a bit, that yes, if I told you this were an investment, it'd be a heck of a scam. As long as we understand that infinite banking is not an investment at all, then we can understand further why it looks so bad, it's so horrible in the early years, and why it naturally and arithmetically, actuarially, meaning from the people that are rating the statistics of who will live and who will die, or not who will live and who will die, who by fire, who by water, who by beast, and who by sword. How many? How many will die of our tubby 52-year-olds in 30 years? How many death benefits will we have to pay out? When you take that science, it's really called the actuarial science, and you run the numbers on it, how much should a policy cost to cover that eventuality of death? Well, then they can project how much excess money or returned premium, i.e., how much tax-free dividend can you earn inside life insurance? And if you can earn tax-free dividend inside life insurance, then you can predict with a lot more certainty how much money will I have in my little pile of money. So it's definitely not an investment. It's a lot deeper than that. That's why it takes us a lot more time to explain it than, hey, this is an awesome new coin. Buy it. You could be rich next year. All right, great. Or even buy gold. It's destined to go up. Is it? I don't know. But those are all examples of, an investment or investing in metals. Life insurance is a lot more complex. So, but before we talk about complex numbers, Dovi, let's talk about marshmallows. I'm waiting.
Tell me about marshmallows.
They're delicious. Whether it's the raw version or the lightly toasted version. What we're going to talk about is the Stanford Marshmallow experiment. Let me pull this up. It's not only important to talk about the Stanford Marshmallow experiment in terms of what they proved or what they thought they proved in this experiment in the late 60s at Stanford, but also what's the best type of toasted marshmallow. You have to be patient to do it the right way. If you stick it right in the fire, you're going to burn it. And who wants that? Except like every kid in the world who doesn't have the patience. You have to hold it right above the fire where it's going to get toasted perfectly golden brown, right? That's the best.
I'm feeling pretty nostalgic right now. I did used to love just the act of toasting the marshmallows. I like being by the fire, the smells. I didn't care so much for the actual marshmallow.
I showed you the picture or video of our synagogue's Lag BaOmer bonfire, right?
Yeah. It looked like it was getting a little out of control.
They gave these probably 3-foot skewers, and that wasn't enough. People were like lying on the ground to be under the heat wave. Didn't really work. So what do? You stick the marshmallow right in the fire. It catches on fire and burns, and you say, the blackened outside is toasted, and inside it's raw. Stanford Marshmallow experiment conducted by psychologist Michel, 60s, 70s. Basically, it's a study about delayed gratification. They offered children a marshmallow which they could eat immediately, or they told them, I'm going to leave the room, and if in 15 minutes the marshmallow is still here, when I come back, I'll give you a second marshmallow. So it was a study about delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. Showing, all right, their first brush at the data was that it shows long-term study of these children means that if they could wait, i.e. delayed gratification, better life outcomes, higher SAT scores, lower BMI. I think you can get lower BMI by eating less marshmallows, not the opposite. That's contradictory data. So what the heck does that have to do with life insurance, except the more you eat, the unhealthier you generally are. Too much sugar, bad for life insurance.
And what does that have to do with whole life insurance except everything? Because it's very similar except everything. It's very similar to what Nelson Nash, the discoverer of the infinite banking concept, the author of Becoming Your Own Banker, he calls Parkinson's law, right? Which has a few different components to it, but it's expenses rise to equal
right.
or exceed income.
Yeah.
And
a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. That's the...
Is that two? It's just those two? Isn't there something to do with accepting that it takes time to build certain things up?
So I think he infers that from one from the other. If you, or the arrival syndrome, like this
The
is
arrival syndrome. Thank you.
Right. So we can go back and check the beginning of Nelson's book is all about human attributes, which he doesn't tell you overtly, but he's going in to say, if you have a foundation, or if you're formatted to think this way, to conquer these human instincts, you can do what infinite banking is going to do.
Now thinking about it, the arrival syndrome is talking about how you never arrive at knowledge. Don't think you know everything, because we never actually arrive at knowledge. So that's not the arrival syndrome. I think it's part of Parkinson's law, but I'll recheck that later.
So how does marshmallows have anything to do with life insurance? So if you've never ever seen a life insurance spreadsheet, or as it's called, an illustration, what I am looking at the non-guaranteed assumption side of a ledger. Non-guaranteed is the side that will always show you the annual dividends going into a policy, being paid tax-free into a policy. And on our Real Change Financial YouTube page, you have a video that's due for an update called "The Biggest Reason People Hate IBC." And incidentally, the reason why people will ask me, well, isn't this a scam? They're thinking their investment advisor or their friend who's doing well today with Robinhood or with their ETFs or in their 401k is saying, if you pay, this is a life insurance premium, and this is the cumulative premium, what's paid since the beginning of the policy. That's $10,000, and then putting an extra $51,000 in the first year to top it off at $60,000, because based on budget and available funds for this client. But the idea being, if you squeeze $60,000 into life insurance, and at the end of the year, all you've got to show for it is this column here, net cash value, or for someone's first rodeo in life insurance, their equity is $54,500. Well, that ain't nothing but a $5,500 loss. Ergo, a bad investment. Someone must be scamming you to tell you that this is a great place to put your money, i.e., this is a great investment. Do we ever say this is a great investment?
Of course not.
No,
it's not an investment at all.
We say this is a purchase, exactly, a purchase of a death benefit. It's a life insurance contract. There's a cost to that death benefit. And the cost in this example is $5,400. And you could say, well, by year 2, I've paid in $69,000 and I only have $63,000. And by year 3, I've paid $78,000 and I only have $72,000. Like, when am I going to get that second marshmallow? And if I've delayed gratification till year 4 and year 5 and year 6 and somewhere between year 6 and year 7, wait a minute, I think we've got a second marshmallow in here somewhere. If by year 6 I've paid $105,000 and there's $104,335 in equity, what do you say there, Dovey? We're $700 away from our second marshmallow. So surely by the end of year 7, poof, with all that money spent, all that time and effort, I finally have, again, the net cash value equals equity. I've finally got $116,000, $2,000 more than what I paid in. Woohoo! I've made $2,000, or more specifically, $2,284. Is that anything to write home about?
And it only took you 8 years to do it. Or 7 years.
8 years to do it. No one would say, please sign me up for this, if that's all they understood, was spent $114,000, earned $2,284. So here's the second marshmallow in life insurance, specifically in infinite bank designed whole life insurance. Understand we have a death benefit. Understand we've been banking with this money the entire time. And whether we've borrowed $50,000 here or $100,000 here, we're going to earn the dividend that year as if we've borrowed nothing from the policy or against the policy. But the last word on these is, what have you developed over 8 years? I've developed a system where for every $9,000 I pay in as the annual premium, this column represents my year-to-year growth. 11.9, 12.7, 13.3. So in the very year that this policy breaks even, so to speak. I have more money in my capital, my equity, my cash value, more money here than here. Well, that very year I paid $9,000 for an $11,900 total delta, total change in cash value. So you could start to calculate rate of return for life insurance. Sure, this is 8 years into the game, but if you want to really calculate that individual year return on your new money, well, if I earned $11,949, let's subtract the $9,000 I put in, because that would be ludicrous to say that's all profit. My performance that year was $2,900. So in the life insurance world, or in the math world, divide by your inputs to get your instantaneous or your year-to-year rate of return. So 0.32, that's 32.7%. So if I said to anybody,
money,
would you like
on your new money that you put in that year, not necessarily on the whole balance, on the your balance, there's entire cash value, but on the new money that you put in for that year, your return is about 33%.
If you want to calculate the overall return, you would divide the delta by the starting value. So I haven't done that one. I don't know what's 11,949. Starting value of 104,335. 11%. So whether you're looking at it as an overall return or the year-to-year rate of return, go compare that to anything else. Unlike the marshmallow experiment, where 9 out of 10 kids chose the marshmallow now, go find me 9 out of 10 thinking adults who wouldn't want this over the risk and the taxes of a standard Wall Street investment. Pick your investment. Now, don't tell me that I have a business and I know my run rate and I invest my money back. That's fine. That's specialized, and that's still a risk. I mean, the long-term product that does this just over time, that has an 11% rate of return overall, or a 37% rate of return on your new money that year, it's life insurance.
Right, and as you said, that's all tax-free. That's all post-tax. What would the taxable equivalent of that 33% or 11.5% be? What's the taxable equivalent of those numbers? Significantly more.
Or think, what do you have to liquidate? And if you want to enjoy that money. Yeah, there are instances where you can borrow against a qualified retirement plan, but who wants to be in the hardship category to do that? Literally, it's called a hardship loan. Who wants to be in the position where they have to liquidate stock? Are you going to liquidate when it's doing well? No, you want to keep it in there. Are you going to liquidate when it's doing poorly? No, because you're going to lose your shirt. Either way, you're going to pay taxes on what is it, the capital gains rate? Is it a retirement plan, so you're paying in the income tax rate? And is it the income tax rate federally or California versus Florida? And that would be zero state income taxes. All those considerations that are just aloof and apart from life insurance. And if you tell me, but I have a big investment, so why not own life insurance as well? When the market's down, borrow against the equity in your life insurance, so you're preserving your market assets. So we're not here for individual strategies. Just wanted to make a note on marshmallows, because why not? I might go have one myself after this, frankly.
I like this, the way you put this. It reminds me of something that I've heard from a couple different people. If I were to ask you, if you could have a box or a machine, I've heard it put both ways, where you put in $1 and you now have access to $1.10 or $1.20, $1.25, the next year $1.35, would you want that box? Of course you want that box.
How do I get it?
We all want that box. You can get that box. It just will take a few years to capitalize the system and get there. You will get there. That's the guarantee here. Well, the dividends are non-guaranteed. We've been through that on previous episodes. You're guaranteed to get there. The only caveat of you being able to maintain how this box works throughout your entire life is never open the box. Whenever you want to use the capital from the box, you take it to the originator of the box and you say, this is the capital that I have in my box. Can you please give me a loan against the value of this asset? And they'll say 100%. We are contractually obligated to give you a loan up to the value of that asset. Well, thank you very much.
So sign me up for one of your boxes, and I hope this was informative. Obviously, the play on marshmallows is just because, look, when your industry is life insurance, you got to keep it interesting somehow. We think the numbers themselves can be interesting, but juxtaposing the delayed gratification of a child versus how an adult should look at it with adult eyes and intellect and patience means you can get to that point where you're enjoying those rates of return. What are you going to do to get there? Well, you've got to go through those early years, but that doesn't discount the fact that you can actually tap into the equity in those early years, which is a whole other part of infinite banking. We're just showing you could liken it to the dividends of the bank compared to actually using the bank as a customer. So we're just being the owners of the bank here, sitting back and watching that equity grow, watching the capital grow, and we haven't even gone into the door to ask for a loan yet. That's a whole other category.
When we say,
all that does is, go ahead.
When we say infinite banking, that's really a cash flow management strategy that we use through these whole life insurance policies. Infinite banking does not mean life insurance. They're not synonymous terms. Banking is a process. We use the process of infinite banking through capitalizing and leveraging these whole life policies.
We create an instrument like this, and the more you flex that, the more you borrow from and repay with a sense of urgency, or rather with being an honest banker to your own loan, then you can actually increase the performance of these, which we don't even show in this example. Hope that was informative. Our twist on the marshmallow experiment. Please like and subscribe if you like the material. If you're learning something about infinite banking, about whole life insurance, tune in for next podcast with me, Josh Pinny Levy, and Dovi Herman.
Even if you didn't like it, please like and subscribe. That'd be good too. Thank you for listening to Go Bank Yourself. To learn how to apply these strategies in your own life, email Dovi Herman at realchangefinancial.com. We'll see you in the next episode.